Okay, we're in business. Let's just do this real quick. I literally threw the camera up. I'm still working, but I got some good lighting. I saw that light start to hit, and I was like, oh, this is the moment. This is it. This is the moment. And we probably have 15 minutes, if that. Okay, angle's great, lighting's great. So, if you've ever wondered what it's really like to work at a law firm, this video is for you. I can't exactly speak from the place of a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer, and I'm also not a paralegal. So if that was your next thought, which it often is people's next thought, I am neither of those things. But I do work full time for a big law firm, like big law, actual, like I'm talking about, the big girls, 1,000+ lawyer headcount, $1 billion revenue, like AmLaw 25, like big law, not the little one. So I don't work actively on, I guess, what you could say billable things. I think that's what that means. I work in business intelligence. I don't know if I've mentioned that yet on this channel. I work in a biz dev department of a big law firm. My lighting is going. Okay, well, it was fun while it lasted. So I just wanted to talk quickly about what it's really like to work at one of these firms because I think, obviously, if you've seen Suits, there can be many misconceptions about how things actually go. My lips are so chapped. Hold on. Just need a little bit. I am a road girly. Can't even cap. Haley, she did her big one with this because it's like one of the best lip products that's on the market. So, the thing about working at a law firm is it's not nearly as glamorous as it looks like on Suits. People are not nearly that well dressed. Okay. At least not at my firm. I mean, the buildings can be really nice. Like my firm has a pretty nice building and it's big and it gives you that New York kind of like big time corporate like feel, but in actual practice of what it's like, oh, my light's coming back, of what it's like to work there, there is a very strict hierarchy and kind of pecking order in a law firm, like many workplaces, but especially in law firms. And I feel like I don't know if that's a way that I'm probably going to use the word conservative a lot when talking about it. And I don't necessarily mean that in like the traditional, maybe political idea of conservatism. I mean it more like in a social, sociocultural type of thinking. There are partners. Well, there's the managing partner. And then there are partners who own equity and they own share of the firm. And then you have associates who work below them and they're of different classed years. So there's a hierarchy there. And then even below them, you've got us. And that would be, they be calling us staff. Like firms will have different like words for this. They might call you business services, they might call you administrative professionals, they might call you whatever it is, but just know that you won't be respected the same as the lawyers. It's just the fact of the matter. You won't be treated the same way and you won't even get the same benefits. At least that's how it is over here. That's just how it is. I think you have to kind of like have not really a thick skin, but you do have to have a sort of orientation towards work and understanding you're here to do your job. That is a very important and crucial part of the work that's being done in that firm. But, like, the thing that's bringing most of the dollars is the legal work that's being done by the lawyers. And in that vein, they kind of treat them like they're, and especially the partners, of course, like when you are a $10 million rainmaking partner, they really treat you like you'd at one. But I just think, even like on the smaller scale of just kind of everyday treatment, be prepared for that. If you want to work at a law firm, even if you're like still a very skilled professional. This is something that I want to talk about maybe in another video, about like all of the different jobs and different career paths that exists even within the legal industry and within law firms specifically. But like, You could be like an MBA or a JD. There are so many former lawyers or people with law degrees who don't practice law in a law firm and who have other jobs, and they will report from the other side of the game that you get treated differently. Like, you don't get the same respect. People talk to you differently. And it's one of those things that you have to take on the chin. Okay, secondarily, it is not always, but it can be just as demanding. I hope my hair doesn't look crazy. No, but it can slick be demanding. I mean, especially at this level of the game. It doesn't speak obviously for all law firms. Like I said, this is big law. A lot of the work that I do and that the people that on my team do is according to deal flow and the work that the lawyers are getting. So if the market is hot and the lawyers are getting a lot of work, then we in turn have a lot of work because the work that we do directly supports them. The typical hours that you might think of big law associates and, big law lawyers working, it's not that we're working that. And like, even within teams, like, I'm not a traditional legal biz dev professional, although I plan to speak about that in another video. We're not working those hours. Like, it might not be 80, 90-hour weeks, but it could still be like 60. I'm sure if you got some people, maybe 70 on bad weeks. Like, it can get up there and it can be very demanding because there is that expectation of, like, kind of an on-call type of deal. Like, I have a work phone and they expect you to check it and they expect you to be responsive and to kind of like operate in a very like client service manner with the work that we do. That does necessitate, like, similar to, banking, similar to law, probably consulting too, having to kind of be close to the work at all times and like always be thinking about it a little bit, or just be like, damn, I could get work at any given moment. So it can be unpredictable sometimes in that way, even if you're not practicing law directly. But like I said, you won't still get the same props. So count on that. You're not going to get the same bonus either. You can still make really good money though. You can. There are pretty solidly well paying and lucrative jobs and careers that exist at these firms, that also like have their own prestige and their own respect, and they're highly skilled. It's a very specific niche. Like, I feel like it's like one of the best kept secrets of like the job market. Like, people don't really know that these jobs exist, or like if you do, you just kind of like, I don't even know how people landed into it, but like, can be rewarding, and you can work with extremely skilled and well respected professionals, that being partners and associates in their given practice areas that are at the tops of their games. Like, when you're working at a firm like this and you're working with partners and other senior leadership, like people who are at the top of the legal profession across the world, literally. So those are great connections to make. And, depending on how you do, obviously, like, it doesn't have to be just a professional connection. Although, as I've said, because of the culture, and I think maybe this is what I wanted to get into about the kind of like conservative aspect of a law firm. It can be like stuffy, formal, have to conduct yourself in a very particular manner. So when I say that, what I mean is, especially like in recent years, I think maybe things were different. Maybe back in the day, like maybe in the early 2000s and the 90s and stuff like that, you kind of get what I'm talking about. Like, the corporate world was just different. Like, things are just different now. So law firms generally are conservative and they operate in a very like respectful, respectable type of culture, more leaning towards business formal than business casual. Although my personal, like, the dress code at my job is business casual, but like, it'd be leaning more towards business formal if you asked me. And probably depending on the floor that you work on. Like, I don't even work on a practicing floor, so I don't really see what the other people wear, but I'm just saying that to say that, like, that's what it feels like walking around and like talking to people and being in the cafeteria. Like, even like in the elevator, people don't talk in the elevator. It's such a quiet and conservative type of culture that it feels like you could be having a full conversation walking into the elevator, and then once you enter the elevator with other people, it feels like it's supposed to end. Like, you're not supposed to just freely carry on this animated conversation that you write, especially not if it's animated. You do not, like, you just don't go into the elevator on all that rah-rah. Like, you tone it down when you go in the elevator. I don't know why. Are other workplaces like that? Or like, this is the first place that I ever actively noticed men always letting women off of the elevator first. Interesting concept. And I like it. I mean, I don't mind chivalry at all, but I think it's a very, like, that's a hallmark of a sort of old fashioned conservative workplace that, like, most of the men, although it's usually like the older men, like, not so much the Gen Zers, most of the men, they might be standing at the front, like towards the door, but they will like wait, look to all of the women, let them all off first. They'll even hold the door open. It's very, very old fashioned. So that's law firms for you. Yeah, I feel like overall it's a cool experience. It's, like I said, it's not always that glamorous, but it kind of can be because of what I said, that you're really working with and running with like the top dogs in the legal profession. So they roll out the red carpets sometimes. They rent out Cipriani and the Aman. What is that place? The hotel or like restaurant type nice Aman. They'll rent out the Ritz Carlton to do annual retreats and other nice places. So I think it's really cool. I think it's rewarding. It has a lot of stability. And I mean, I don't know. I know I'm not going to be a lawyer. No. That's one thing that this experience has taught me. So, like, comment, subscribe. I think I got this done like really fast. Wow. Good for me.